administrator doesn't have anything else, I got a couple questions for you, if I may, Mr. Administrator. It was my impression as we were going through this budget and we were doing health insurance, I asked quite a few times if we were on a group rate, and I got the impression that it was cheaper to be on individual rates. So I have that impression again that we are on individual rates. So does everybody have individual rates or on one group rate?
We have a group program, but each person is individually insured.
It's a group plan, but in a group plan, each employee, on age, that's how it's rated. So you could have 10 employees, different ages, a different rate, but it's still a group plan. So that means, exactly what it says, it's a group plan.
So to make this simple, they all get the same coverage, they're just getting different rates because of age.
That's correct. That is
They
correct.
do get a discounted rate because of the fact that it is still age
You
group.
can, yeah, you can
I think
get a
that's what
discounted,
was interesting.
rate, so, but it's still age driven.
Okay,
That
'cause-
depends on the company, what kind of discount you're gonna get, if any.
right, and I had reached out to and I apologize, I did not write them down, so I'm not trying to set anything up here, but I called a couple of different, Allstate was one of them, and it was a gentleman out of Flint. And he did make the suggestion that is right now, with the changes in the healthcare and the providers, that if you have 50 employees or less, that it's almost better off that you go to individual plans instead of doing group rates. You actually can save money. So again, I guess it's gonna be dependent on the agency that you go through. But the one thing that struck my ear was when I asked them, and I was kinda thinking this is kinda like car insurance, if you're unhappy with your provider, what you're paying, can you just drop in the middle of the plan and then go somewhere else? And both agencies said absolutely. So I don't understand when we were going through this budget, and we were talking about trying to save the village some money, so to speak, you know, without harming our employees too much, along with Public Act 152, when we went through, and I guess now from my understanding, we actually voted on that twice in 1 year. Once was in February, the other one I believe was in December.
Right.
Which again is kind of against the act, but okay, so we exempt ourselves, and the impression that I got, the purpose for exempting was that we have the ability in 2015 to pick the insurance. And then it comes out that the insurance was already chosen in 2014 for 15, which makes sense because that's when your enrollment period is. However, that's not what was, that's not the perception that was made of the council's ability to change the insurance. So going through the budget, which we're gonna get into, I just would like you guys to know, I have made the phone calls, and you do have the ability to change the insurance.
Correct.
Just, it would be harder with this agency, since we're already locked into them to try to change the discounts. So I just wanted the council to be aware that there is money that could potentially be saved.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, one more thing. I was going through, because I know we have some candidates that was looking for appointment in here, and going around talking, there was some talk of one individual that may have some pending litigation up here, so I want to do some research on that, so, you know, I knew who I was gonna vote for, nominate or whatnot. With my findings, when I went on the Genesee County webpage, just to see what kind of suits were, I didn't get to find any of the individuals I was looking for, but however, I did find 2 more lawsuits that are against the village of Goodrich. So I was wondering when we were gonna be notified of those, if we have.
I mean, this is for Tom.
I don't have that information, I just have case number 15-105, 43-8, 521, and then 43-9, 521.
That just happened, what was that, last week?
It's right here. Portela suing the village.
Well, and my concerns are, Mr. President, that when something like this happens, if it were to come down, why isn't the council aware of this or the public?
That just happened last week, and that's something that we're looking into as far as what is happening. As far as the other one, that's been resolved.
It wasn't a lawsuit, it was a discussion about a driveway.
Okay. For, you're talking about for the one for the cannon?
Yes.
Right, okay, yeah, and that's from my understanding, so I spoke with the family, and they're actually in disputes with
it looks like it's all gonna be resolved.
So I guess in future here, Mr. President, I would ask if there's any other pending litigation. I'm not asking the council to go into detail, but it'd just be nice if we were informed, hey, we got something else going on.
That's right, here, I was going to do that.
Okay. Then I apologize if I jumped ahead.
Okay.
You good on that? Let's move on to sidewalks.
Has anybody noticed anything?
Pardon?
If anybody noticed anything we wanted to look at, that's what it's on there for.
There's two pieces broken Creekside, but those people that are responsible for their own, that was built, correct?
I'll look into it.
The homeowner had a big truck back across, correct?
Probably.
Yeah, he's aware of the fact it was his truck.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
There was busted sidewalks in Creekside. Gentleman, property owner, had a dump truck come in and deliver some material, and they backed up over the curb. And what he did was he had his hind wheels on the sidewalk when he dumped the load, which transfers all the weight to the back wheels and busted the edge of the sidewalk. That's it. New business. So we're looking at resolution 2015-06, the meeting schedule. We set time to look at the dates there.
I got one, I got a vacation already set up. I make a motion that we approve resolution 2015-06, which happens to be the council's meeting schedule on the particular day, which is always on a Tuesday in every month of the year. Yeah,
Support.
I said Tuesday.
That one, yeah.
I want to have it both days. It'd be a Monday. You guys are having so much fun, I think 2 or 3 days, I think, yeah, it'd be terrific.
Court,
Yes,
Maury,
Yes.
Dick,
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes. Next resolution is the 2015-07, the 2015-2016 millage rate, which once again is at 5.3251, and it has been there for some time, and there is no tax increase. Questions? Mr. Vick, are you looking for something?
No, I'm good, you can move on, I'm sorry. Thank you.
I will make a motion to accept as presented.
Support.
Roll call, please.
yes,
Maury,
Yes.
Dick,
Yeah.
Baldwin.
Yes. Resolution 2015-08, the 2015-16 Administrative Officers' Compensation.
Question I have, is this the raises that's reflecting the budget?
Yes.
Which the raises are nothing more than the cost of living and 1 day off, which I believe we agreed was, no, but we did agree on it, I just want to make sure for the record that it
My
was.
question that I have, Mr. President, I believe this is out of order. You'd have to approve the budget in order to allow these wages to go through. So if you did this resolve, so to speak, this resolution, and we didn't pass the budget, you just kind of approved to have a raise, and then we may be redoing the budget. I don't know how you're voting, but I'm just saying that's a little out of order.
Our motion could be made to accept it pending. In other words, I guess you are right.
wasn't every employee getting a 1.75 raise, and I've only seen, I think, 3 of them on here? Or the other 2 just absorbed in the budget? For the other, I'm sorry, 4.
According to the charter, we have to have a resolution for myself, the DPW supervisor, and the treasurer. The rest of them are absorbed in the budget, just as these are absorbed in the budget. If you pass this and don't pass the budget, like you did last time, they don't go into effect. But you can put it in. If you want.
Mr. Horton?
I mean, I'm okay, I'm just confused though, is if we vote on this resolution, I think you mentioned that it would go
You'd have to do it pending the
and
acceptance
the
of the,
acceptance of the budget. Is that a motion that you made, or?
no, but I'm saying that's the only way that you really could do it, because he's
Okay.
making a good point.
Well, I'm gonna make a motion that resolution 2015-8 to be approved, pending, as an endorsement, I'll use that word, the budget approval, then this would be then approved because of the budget.
Point of information, Mr. Gola, I don't believe that's proper procedures on passing a resolution when it concerning the budget and a raise at the same time. I mean, you can still leave it as a resolution 2015-08. You just gotta hold it here, go down to the budget, if the budget gets approved, then naturally you're gonna come back and you're gonna pass and follow the charter procedures.
That's fine, however it needs to be done.
Want to withdraw your budget, or your motion?
Then withdraw your motion and
Yeah,
table it.
I'll withdraw the motion and we'll make another motion later.
Thank you for clarification.
So with that, we will table that.
Go down to 5 and then go back to it.
I'm just gonna skip it for now, I understand what you're saying. Resolution 2015-09, the 2015-16 election of the council clerk. That we can move on.
Make a motion that we pass resolution 2015-09, election of the council clerk, chair.
Support.
Ford,
Yes,
Maury,
Yes.
Dick,
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes.
that's it.
Now the resolution for our 2015-10, 2015-16 fiscal year budget.
Mr. President, if I may, I have some concerns with the budget before a motion gets made. I'd like to draw it, you guys all have your green copies in front of you? Maybe I'll follow along, Dave. If you don't mind, please.
Page,
We're gonna do 1, 6, and 9. I wanna address your attention to page 6 to start with. If you look down the very bottom, Department 999, you see transfers to minor road, $45,000, transfer to 2013 debt for $30,000 and whatnot. So what I want you guys to pay attention to, please, is the transfer to minor roads for $45,000. And if you please go to page 9, and I'll show you where that money goes. You go backwards. You actually gotta go, excuse me, to page 8. Go to page 8 first, please. Page 8 shows where the money is actually coming in as a revenue for minor roads transferred from general fund of $45,000. So in order to transfer the money, it has to be shown as an expense, which we are doing here, and we're showing it going into $45,000. One issue that I have with it is that we're showing that as revenue into minor roads. But again, it's shown as an expense. So just so you guys know, when you're passing the budget, anytime you're moving money to or from, there's normally a reason why you're doing that. If we need extra money, normally receipts are shown for the expenses that are made in there before you do any kind of transfers. That being said, if you go to page 9 now, If you look down at minor roads equipment routine, that's our equipment rental for $12,500. Minor road equipment rented $12,500 for the year, so it's basically summer and winter. My concerns are with this is that we transferred $45,000 in the minor road fund. $25,000 of this, we are renting our own equipment back to us, and then we turn around and go to page 1, and now we're showing it again as revenue for minor roads of $25,000. I don't understand the purpose of taking money out of the general fund, transferring into the minor roads, renting our own money back to ourselves, turning around, showing it back as a revenue. That is complete.
Government accounting.
No, it's not.
Please,
For simpler terms, that extra $25,000 doesn't even need to get transferred into minor roads. You could just leave it in the general fund. Your amounts are still gonna come out the same.
You can't do it that way. This is government accounting, and we have to follow the Gatsby rules.
What rules?
Gatsby. Every time we have an audit done, it's done under those rules, and they've never, ever said that it's not done correctly.
So again, I'll point out a couple of things. If you guys don't have to do page switch, I'm just gonna talk here. So we're transferring the minor road funds, I'm sorry, we're transferring the general funds into the minor roads. So if you did the math on it, we don't actually have enough money. We only get $40,000 before the transfer comes in, and some change. We don't have the money to pay the employees and everything else that comes out of the minor roads unless we move that money into there. So the money that we're getting from the state of Michigan into the major and minor roads is actually only about $110,000. Again, we are renting our equipment in major roads, which I can somewhat agree with. I don't understand it, but I can agree with it, because that's money we're getting from the state. We're gonna rent our own equipment, I guess, and move it back over to the general fund for revenue. That bumps up the general fund. Transferring the money over to minor roads and doing the same process doesn't make any sense, because we just moved one money from one account, rented our own equipment, and moved it back in. Second part of this is if you look at both of those funds, in totals and repairs for our roads, we're only spending $30,000. Major roads maintenance is 15, minor roads maintenance is 15. Even with all the money coming in, which comes up about $180,000, only spending $30,000 on our actual road improvements. And I know some people in the community would like to see a little better services, so to speak, with their curbs and whatnot, but again, in one meeting we asked, how come the curbs aren't being replaced? They said we're waiting on the contractor to give us a bid, and then in another meeting it gets clarified, well, it's not the bid for the curbs, it's the bid for milling the road before we go out and replace that. I understand that you don't wanna waste money on a curb if you're gonna have to tear it down because you're milling the roads. But what I don't understand is why we get two different answers every time a question comes up. Secondly, before this budget gets passed, I gave you guys a proposal to try to save right around $24,000. I believe our administrator figured it out, it was about $22,000 and some change. I still think that's a proposal that needs to be considered in this budget. Not only that, the office really should be closed down on Friday to save that money. That's part of that $22,000. That would fund your DPW worker that you want. I don't really think we should be adding a third DPW. I think we should be replacing a third DPW and changing the management style that's been going on through this village. Again, it's my understanding that this village was created so we would have our own DPW workers to clear our roads and whatnot, and I think our streets do get done pretty good in the winter months. But the question that I have, it was my understanding that M15, and I could be wrong, please correct me, was actually done by the county. So, and I believe one of our residents came up and said that M15 looks real good when it's plowed. And I'll tell you, the county does M15. And there's been a lot of complaints that our subdivisions off the beaten path, so to speak, have snow that sit there for quite a while before it gets removed. Again, in this budget, there is $18,000 that we are pulling out of the Dutch Erie bond, correct? and we're gonna be using that for road improvements and gravels. Again, I ask you before you submit this budget or approve it, that we look at that bond very closely. I personally think that's illegal. I don't believe we can use that money. Again, I'm not an attorney by no means, but it's my understanding if you have a bond, that money is used for that bond. Any money that's left over goes back to the bond, and you can't use it for any other purposes. So that being said, that's technically $18,000 that we're not supposed to be using. We do have a drain project that is still taking place. Again, I believe at the beginning of this meeting, I said I had some correspondence. I did talk with Jeff Wright, because I noticed some people were working down in the park, doing some surveying and whatnot, and he did say that they are taking some measurements and doing their drawings for a proposal that this council had brought forth to them, and I believe it's 2A-2, and all they're waiting on is a easement from the village. So, again, that's a whole separate question on, did we pick one proposal or option from Jeff Wright, and that's why they're down in there. But to go furthermore, that is the cheapest proposal that we got, it's $510,000. The municipality here is gonna be responsible for a good portion of that money. I don't believe we've got an answer back from Jackie if it was 50% or 75% or whatever it may be. Let's go on the high end or low end of 50%, it could be lower, it could be higher. That's $250,000. That completely is going to wipe out our funds. Now, let me rephrase, I am under the impression that some of that money is gonna get spread out over time talking with Jeff, but again, he hasn't done the final assessments yet and doesn't really know how the payment options are going to be. But again, we are in no different position than we were last year. Actually, I think we're in the worst position because the drain project is even closer than what it was. I don't think this is the right time for a 1.75 wage increase. I don't think this is the right time to have another 13W worker. And quite frankly, we did nothing to fund our drain project. Absolutely nothing. We didn't allocate any money anywhere, whether it be $5, whether it be $50,000. I don't see where the money's coming in. So again, gentlemen, I ask you not to pass Resolution 2015-10 to 2015-2016 fiscal year budget. Please take consideration for another workshop meeting and see if we can come to a little better terms in our budget here.
I guess I will touch on this just real briefly. In the office, we have two full-time, we have two part-time. They're responsible for the daily business and whatever else comes through the door. Right now, the administrator and a lot of the office staff is spending a considerable amount of time on depositions, court-ordered information, and our administrator has to go and attend these depositions. Right now, they're working on home inspections, and information is being provided on a regular basis from our office. Right now, there's a possibility of a plus or minus of 150 witnesses that this list still could be deposed for a deposition. There's a few developers, and I'm not going to get into too many particulars on this one either, but we have some potential development that could come into our community. Both of them would be very significant. There has been attorneys and consultants representing both of these developers, and they're coming in here on a frequent basis, asking for lots of information and basically just to sit down with our administrator. Right now, to cut down on their hours in that office would be a disservice to the community. For right now, they need to be in there. I've said it before that for right now, things kind of stay the way that they are. That doesn't mean, like our budget, that it has to remain that way. It can be altered. We have that right. But for right now, with what is going on, we never, all hands on deck, if you will. As far as some of the other points that you brought up, the bond issue, looked into this. As long as that money, and we're talking about Dutch Road, Erie Street, the bonds that were taken out for those two streets, it is legal to use those on those roads, but only on those roads. Mr. Wright, and I'm not sure how long ago it was, but it was some time ago, said that they were moving forward with the preliminary engineering and site work out here in our area. That's not new news. The percentage rate of how much the village is going to pay, that is set by the drain commissioner. That too is not new news. We've said that for over a year now. Mr. Wright is going to set that up as far as how much the village is going to pay and how much the residents that are in that drainage area are going to pay. And yes, it can be stretched out over a somewhat of a lengthy period of time. That would be kind of up to us and how we can pay it, and there's a couple different ways in which we can pay it. I still stay with what I said initially about having the third DPW worker. I think that it's important that we have him in there right now. We lost a worker here a couple of years ago. I think it showed. This area of the streets, these are our homes. Our homes are our investment. It's important that it shows well. To say that maybe some things need to be tweaked in, well, maybe so. Maybe we need to make some adjustments and work with them. I'm sure that Ethan, and I've talked with him, and he's not opposed to sitting down and talking and trying to improve things. That's, once again, not new news. But to take and cut back their hours right now, it's just not the time. It's important that our administrator complies with the court's need. It's important that our DPW workers get out there and take care of the things that need to be done on our roads. We know it's an issue in our community. I have a couple other announcements I'll make here at the end that kind of go into a little more depth and detail in some of those, but for right now, that's my feelings on keeping everybody in office and trying to keep things running.
I agree. We voted on that before too.
Mr. Moore, anything you want to add?
No, you did a good job, man. Thank you.
Then once again, here we are, Resolution 2015-10, 2015-16, the fiscal year budget. I'm looking for a motion.
Make a motion that we pass resolution 2015-2016 fiscal year 2015-10. Is that it?
2015-10 for the 2015/16 year. Okay. Have a motion, looking for some support.
I support.
Roll call, please.
Horton,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Dick,
No.
Baldwin.
Yes. On a brighter note, we have,
We gotta go back.
no, we won't have to go back now. Now we can go back to number 3, the resolution 2015-08, the 2015/16 administrative officers' compensation. Thank you, Mr. Moore. Comments, questions? Motions?
I made the original motion, a little early in the system. I do make a motion for resolution 2015-08, which is administrative officers' compensation,
Support.
as presented, yeah.
Roll call, please.
Horton,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Dick,
No.
Baldwin.
Yes. I don't know know if any of these people here that, submitted anything for their appointment, I don't even know if they're here, do you know that?
I don't know.
Guess we're just gonna surprise them now. It's time now to appoint, a new council member. And in the, section 5.5, filling the vacancies, and I'm not gonna read all of it, be basically a majority vote of the members of the council, then an office of a person possessing the qualifications for the office. And that is what we will do by majority vote. We have 4 people that have said that they would be interested. I assume everybody's looked at them. If anybody would like to nominate someone, please.
Yeah, I did read over, the ones that we had. There were several people there that I thought were pretty good with the information we had and, their background and so forth and so on. The one thing that, kinda caught my eye, was Shannon McCafferty. She lived around Fox Hollow, in the neighborhood that some of you folks live in. She is currently on the village planning commission, which means she's had a seat in meetings on what's going on in the village as far as planning and this sort of thing. She lived here for 15 years. And she seems to be really wants to get involved with the community and thinks that she would be an asset. So that's one person that I would, without the other folks, you guys gotta read it too. I would like to make a motion along with everyone else on the Shannon McCafferty. And again, there was other people in here, some of them I personally know, that I thought would probably do a good job. But then, as you already know, that employees or persons that want to be on the board, sometimes things happen, that they're in 1 or 2 years, and then for whatever reason, they have to leave because of whatever, makes a difference why. So it's important to have, this list as we have it. We don't have to keep it, but Jackie's office could keep it as to people that did apply. If they've applied and were not voted in, that just means that they're probably still at time, going to be wanting to reapply. That's always a possibility. But my point of view is I think this Shannon McCafferty would probably be a good person. We got other people here on the boards that probably looked at it or looked at other people. It's just my opinion.
I assume that was, a lengthy motion.
You want it longer?
Thank you. No, that's fine, that's fine.
I stuttered all the way through, you know.
And I would support Shannon as a nomination. I would like to thank everyone that took the time and was willing to sit on this council. I'd like to thank everyone. Shannon, I only know a little bit. She is on the planning commission, and that's a plus already. So I would support that motion.
Yes.
I have another nomination. I'd like to nominate Sheila Barr. I believe she'd be an excellent candidate. She educated from Wayne State University. I believe she ran for a House seat. Most of you have your resume on here, so I'm not gonna go through too much details on here. Personally, I think she's overqualified for the job, which is probably a good thing for this council. I would just kinda like to see a new face, and she has concerns with the mill pond that I think a lot of our mill pond community would really like. She does like nature, and she does like to see pollution not happen to our mill pond. I I think she'd be a good resource for our council.
Motion on the floor.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, there is a motion on the floor.
But you're-
Yeah.
Are there nominations or are these motions?
You have to have a vote to fill it.
We have to have a vote to fill it by the majority, and that's what I read initially. Yeah, there would be a motion on the floor, so,
I'm sorry, say it again?
there is a motion on the,
There is no motion on the floor, you can't make a motion, that's not a motion, he did a nomination, then you do the nominations, and then you do a vote on it. Every one of us could have nominated every single person on here, and then it goes to a vote, you don't make a motion when you're doing nominations.
I didn't see it in that way.
Who are all the people?
By appointment of the majority vote of the members of the village.
That's how I read it.
Right, by the majority of the votes, so you gotta have the nominations, so we know who we're voting for.
No, we took in applications by 6 o'clock on Monday. The applications are in front of you in a motion, and it is in order to appoint someone. And if Mr. Baldwin sees that differently, then
That's how I would see it too, yes, I think it would have followed it.
I did make a motion.
You made a nomination.
I think the motion and the nomination are one and the same at this
They're
point.
not.
Clarify.
Jeez,
I don't agree.
Clarify for the record, please.
not even.
Not even close.
No.
I'm not gonna change it.
of course you're gonna ask him if
Your
there's a
way or no
motion, and
way.
he said yes.
Yeah, that's what I said, and I kinda said it was a very long motion, but, the way I read it, it's a majority of the vote of the members of the council, then an officer for such qualifications of the office.
Can you tell us who all the people are?
Yeah, it would be nice. Who are the other applicants?
What are the qualifications?
Give us a rundown.
I don't know if I even need to do that, do I? I mean,
We're-
it was posted, was it
Oh.
not? I'm not gonna do that.
It's an Open Meetings Act violation.
Yeah,
It is. That's a violation. You guys are violating the Open Meetings Act.
yep.
Again,
Mrs. Fredericks was one. Colin Monsiglio?
Colin? Colin?
Colin.
Colin?
Colin Powell, I think that's how his name's pronounced. I could be wrong. Shannon McCaffrey was what Ricky just talked about.
here's a motion.
Those are the four.
Mr. President, point of information, last time this process went through, it was a process that you did. Because I believe you guys took a vote and more than one candidate got a vote for, so how did you get those more than one candidate without having nominations and moving to just motions?
They did, I don't think they did put it in the paper.
I wasn't here.
We got sued over it.
Mr. McKinney said that this is the process.
Yeah. I don't believe that's how it was done. I believe,
Did you guys not write down the votes and they got counted wrong, if I'm not mistaken? You can ask.
Yeah.
Doug McAbey, I believe he was
Yeah.
involved in that process. Because there was nominations, not motions.
I don't believe there was any, I don't know, I wasn't here, that there was an
There
ad
were
in the
two?
report.
no, there was not an ad in the paper.
That's not the question.
Put an ad in the paper to have people file by 6 o'clock, and then council's supposed to make a determination.
So we do have a motion, otherwise, the nomination process, I guess you could withdraw them and do a nomination process, but I believe these are the people that, somebody's gotta support them.
Wow.
I'm gonna leave it stand the way it is. We have a motion on the table for, Shannon McCaffrey. I supported it. I'm gonna ask for a roll call vote.
Oh,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Lit,
Sustained for the violation of section 5.5 filling vacancies.
Malden,
Yes.
What a joke. You should be embarrassed.
wow.
Yeah,
Well, she'll be glad to know that she's part of this.
She's here.
You know she's here.
Shannon,
So I don't know.
Shannon, you're-
You know she's here. She's the only one that showed up because I'll set this up. What a setup.
we can't do the swearing in because we
We
don't
know,
have a clerk.
we know
No,
this
we're
is set
not.
up.
She can come, yeah.
Welcome. And I do believe that we've done everything okay, the way I read it.
Yeah, you set it up perfectly. Good job. Great lawsuit.
Showed up because I'm a budget analyst and I was curious about the budget.
Are we breaking rules?
Yeah, let's,
Wow.
we've done that, last one is public comment. And you can talk about whatever you like. Yeah, I'm taking one.
Therese Allen, I have two questions. One, when you speak of these two developers that may be coming into our area, are they going to be building on the Wheelock and Watkins Drain? And the second question is, the candidates that propose to become part of the board, are their qualifications, resumes, is that open for the public and the media to get a copy of, to see their qualifications?
Sure.
And we can pick that up in the office.
Please call them, let them know that you're coming in and you'd like.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Doug McAfee. As I started once before, it's good to see a good crowd. I think we live here because we like the town. It's a good place to live, good schools, good neighbors. My concern is, we're taking either a sharp left turn or right turn. It's hard to figure out, although I guess it's not hard to figure out. This council is very predictable. We can make a lot of money betting on it. It's amazing, you went through this whole budget and no one mentioned the fee that the lawyer's getting. Where's that coming from? I brought it up a couple of times. We've got all these drain issues and, you know what? Wages are more important. You're right. It's just overwhelming. I think a lot of people, please come up and state what's on your mind when we're together. I think a lot of the problems, a lot of concerns I see revolve around the DPW. And if you remember back, the reason we went to a third DPW is because we had an employee who was going to be going on family leave. And they weren't sure how many hours they're going to be available. They're going to have to leave instantly. And that's why the third person showed up. It was not because there was a need on the streets. It was a need to fill a vacancy. And that seems to be forgotten. I think that if I was in your situation, I'd post the job, make it legal. You don't seem to want to do that. I'm convinced that the applicant you're talking about, and you've named by name, we shouldn't have done that. I think he's a very qualified person. It's sad that he's in that situation. We talk about, and other people have gotten up here, when we talk about the curbs, we talk about the ceiling. We could have replayed this tape from a year ago because every meeting or so, it's, gee, we're gonna have to talk with the manager, and you said it again tonight. I'll be sitting down with him and see what we can do. You said the same thing a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. Nothing changes but the calendar. I think the attitude that we see can kind of be summed up if you go out that door and you go over to the door to the office, you'll see a sign posted on the window for the public to see when they first approach the DPW office. It says, "Warning, to avoid injuries, do not tell me how to do my job." And kind of sums it up right there. You know, we have good equipment, but it always seems like we don't quite have the right equipment. We're renting this, we're renting that. Now, on a more positive note, there are a lot of good things going on around here. We have a volunteer group that I'd like to see more of you get interested in. That's Goodrich Volunteers. They meet the first Monday at 5:30 above the library. And had a project, we put some flowers and some plants in downtown. And I have some pictures of the Ida and Richard Ciroli and Angie Adamick working down there. Also, the first Monday night is the Historical Society meets right here in this room at 7 o'clock. And at both meetings, believe me, we never talk politics. It's what you can do for the community. And we've gotten grants, and we have volunteers that clean the park, and we just put up some recycling canister or whatever, and some cigarette butt holders, and really looking forward to getting that group going. Now, I must end on a somewhat downer note. As you can see, there's, 4 cameras here tonight? And I got a call that said, wanted me to bring something up. And I'm gonna stick my neck out and bring it up. And I got a call from a couple who you'll never see them in this room. They watch. And their concern is that there's some, what should we say, there's some drinking going on. And maybe we need breathalyzers in this room, for the audience and for the council. And I bring that up, that is a serious request. Mr. Bowen, I'd like to see you address that. And I just leave it there. If you want, I'll have these people contact me directly.
Please.
But they didn't think I would bring it up, and I did. Thank you.
Please have them contact me.
Patricia Wartell and Mr. Baldwin, took notes on
Please.
your discussion and what you discussed regarding the budget. And I'm back up here reiterating the violation to the PA 152. I'm asking that this budget should have been tabled, it shouldn't have been voted on tonight. I'm telling you right now what has happened and what is on file at the state. I personally think that you as president are aware of this, the public's aware of this. This is being filmed, and you need to understand that. And I think that by passing this budget and stating that you're in agreement with it and everything, there's a lot of unanswered questions and a lot of questions that people have in the back of their minds wondering, what is it that the three of you don't understand, or what is it that we are trying to give to this administration? What do you owe this administration? This community does not receive anything that you are stating that we are getting. Our DPW, our streets, our village, you had a gentleman step up and state that he was very happy with it, because he drives through, it goes to the condominiums. That's understandable. He says he sees them in there. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. But I can tell you something right now. The streets are in disrepair. The streets are ridiculous, and our monies are going for wages, our monies are going for benefits, we're going to a third DPW worker. And you have, I'm just assuming from the discussion with Mr. Vick bringing up timesheets. I wrote that down, and I'm asking, what kind of business would have a person sit there and write out timesheets and state that it takes 8 hours to do a sign? Now, we all heard what was explained to us on those timesheets. I'm just taking that as an example. But here's the point. Your management stinks. Your management needs to be revamped. Your management needs to be taken into serious account. And everybody needs to understand, it doesn't matter if it's money to maintain anything and everything. You've got councilmen that is able to give you insurance information, but yet we're paying these exorbitant prices, and we know for a fact that you could hard cap these employees and you could save the village money. You ignore it. You're responsible. What is it? What's a burning question in my head, it always comes up, what was on that hard drive that was taken out of the office by Mr. Horton?
She can say whatever she
Huh?
wants.
What was it? What was hidden by it? Why, what was on it that was taken?
Bridge, please. Anyone else? Please.
This is my thought on the wages and the DPW. I looked at the sheet, I looked at the pay scale, I looked at, what they make. Ain't no way in hell I'd work for that money. Not in her job, I don't know these people, I don't know the DPW, but I'm telling you, they could do better by law.
He's entitled to speak, please.
Not him.
They could do better than that. That's not a fair wage. What they're asking is way, it's not an enormous amount of money. And if you want quality people in here, and you want better people, you're gonna pay them, because you're not gonna get any better for any less.
Please, it says time to speak. Of course. Votes haven't gone through yet.
Cindy Beebe, we've discussed this a couple times. We can't count monies. We know that we've got an administrator with no healthcare benefits in Ortonville working for $45,000 a year. We know that we've got them out in the township working for $33,000 to $35,000. I think it's $51,000.
Please, no personal attacks.
So, it's not a
It's not the
personal
budget.
attack. Budget, it's back. So, that being said, to go from 38,000 or into 30s when you brought her back to be taken up to the low 50s, that is a nice hike. Our staff members here all got $4 raises right in the middle of things when they were hard, and we know that. That was big. Nobody else in Michigan, not unless it was a big corporation in the city, got a $4 raise. So that being said, I think we've been very good to our staff. And I think we need to continue to be. And I think they should be taken care of, but I think we forget we're in time warp. We're not in the 70s and 80s where everybody is getting all of these free benefits that they used to get in their package. Nobody gets them. Lots of people don't have it, and they've got huge education, sky high, and they don't have some of the monies that they're being paid. So, no disrespect to you, but you can see it all over the board. There are a lot of people that are working bigger areas, doing more, covering more population, and more roads and more village than your administrator, and making $15,000 at least less and no benefits.
Katie, just to kind of recap what happened tonight, You guys have violated the charter with improper budget procedures. You violated Public Act 152, which is a state law. You violated the charter again, Mr. Horton and Ms. Fitch did, when they decided the healthcare without council approval. The bond monies that are supposed to be used for only Dutch Road and Erie Street, you're intending to purchase more gravel with, which, if you read the bond, you'll find out that's a violation. I'd also like to let you know that our administrator does not have to attend our deposition. She doesn't have to. Nobody else has to that's on the lawsuit. Is this just so she can get her story straight when it's her turn to be depo? And then I'd like to mention those 2 new lawsuits. I've done a little research on them, and those both are for Freedom of Information request violations. It was requested for payroll records of Jackie Sage, the administrator, from January 2014 to December 2014, including a copy of the W-2 for 2014. I see what they were given. I can see why they filed a lawsuit. How can we not turn our paperwork over properly? The other one is, again, a Freedom of Information request, and this is seeking a copy of the hiring date of Aaron Christner, a copy of the minutes of the Village of Goodrich Council indicating the hiring of Aaron Christner, and or any documents pertaining to the hiring of Aaron Christner. She was literally given a W-4 form from 2001. That's alarming, because we weren't even told that he was brought onto any part-time, any status, until just a year and a half ago. How is this the only record that they were given? No wonder we have a lawsuit. That's no wonder. Hey. Mr. Chair, I'm trying to speak with you. It would be very polite if we could keep this together. Do you realize how many more lawsuits this is gonna open up? Once I'm sure that we go through court over these, you know, everybody in this entire town can sue us right now for not having the opportunity to apply for this position. Everybody can sue us over that. That's a violation. These are blatant violations. Not having a council approval to bring in somebody to work, we pay them over $23,000. You can't do that. Is there any law that you guys will hold? And then I'd also like to point out the correspondence from the Drain Commission that Ms. Sidge has been sending messages to them. Get my paper straight. Do you realize what kind of jeopardy you put our liability? We are in so much trouble because of what you said. You confirmed to them that all the actions you guys have finally, the measures you finally put into place, have stopped the flooding. After saying this was a rain event all this time, you just blew our case. You just blew our entire case. You admitted in this document that you're basically asking, we've done this, we did that. Ms. Allen has said that she has not flooded since 2013. Does that mean that we don't need to move forward with this project? And they laughed in your face. They said that in 2008, the village requested help with the flooding on Erie Street. There was 1996, we had documents. You have really, this, Mr. Baldwin, this is a problem.
Thank you, Mrs. Vick, for all of your kind words. Anything else with the public comments? I'm gonna speak here for just a minute. I'm gonna touch on just a few things. First, if you'd like to, that's fine.
Just a couple of things real quick. I don't know if you guys remember in the budget, we also purchased a new salt spreader, and it's my understanding that we had purchased one 2 years ago, if I looked at the minutes correctly. So I don't understand why that one went bad so quickly and why we need to purchase another one.
The one we purchased 2 years ago goes on the back of the proposal
It's a different one.
for the sidewalks. The one that we replaced is on the 205. You bought before I came on board.
There are two different trucks.
One's a truck and one's a tractor.
No, they're two different trucks. Two different trucks. Tractor's another one, but there were two different trucks.
Okay.
and I will touch on that here in just a second. I'll try to get on some of these questions that I can't answer, some of them I'm gonna have to go and do some work on. This right here, looking at the township and what they do versus what we do, it's apples and oranges. I don't see anything in here about any equipment, labor, I don't see anything about equipment parts that they do, emptying a trash canner, mowing any grass. It's different governmental accounting. It's altogether different.
It is.
Yeah, I know.
Check ledger.
You don't know, we can laugh. The next thing is what have I got here? Brought up about the developments, and if it's on the Wheelock-Watkins drain, the answer to that is no. One of them is an existing building, the other one would be a new development. Neither one of them are part of the Wheelock-Watkins drain. Okay. We're looking at filling vacancies. I guess it's kind of a two-part thing for the DPW worker. And you're going back to the date that was mentioned as far as the member that was trying to bring it out. It's time. That's when he initially hired in here as a young man, as a right out of high school, I believe. And he worked for a while on a temporary basis, and then he was let go. And then he was brought in here basically during the winter to help fill in. When Ethan got sick, it was kind of more obvious to the fact to where bringing him in on a more full-time basis, and that's kind of where it was at. It was more of an emergency move than anything else. The DPW, and as far as we're not working anything with the DPW, Mr. Brannon and I started that process. We met with Ethan, and matter of fact, I know that Tim mentioned one time, Mr. Brannon, about the fact that he had talked to the Genesee County Road Commissioner about the county maintaining their roads. I believe that his advisement was you don't want those guys doing that. But we started to work with the DPW, and then here we are. I will finish up on that, and I will be working with the DPW to try to make it a little bit better, and probably bring somebody else on board with me to go over that as a small committee and working with them. What else do we have? All the various violations. As far as the bonding on the roads, obviously somebody's talking to different people than what I've talked to, or be it for I know than the bonding people and the attorneys themselves. They said as long as that money is being used on the roads that bond is allocated for, we can do that. I don't care how you want to come up with road repairs. If you want the improvement, you got to pay for it. Now, whether we use the bond money to pay for it, or we figure out another way to get money from the taxpayers, but you are going to pay for the improvement. The only benefit is we have the bond money, we can use that. I guess with that, I'm going to move right in. As far as the health care, I have full intentions of appointing a committee with people that are on this council and some people in the private sector out there, the residents, to work with going over the employees, and I would like Mr. Horton to spearhead the committee. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to insurance. They will come back and they will kind of let their feelings be brought onto the council during the public meeting, and we'll go forward with whatever we're going to do with the health insurance and employees themselves. The next thing is that I have full intentions. Mr. Brandon and I were going to do this. I will follow up on this. I will be asking for help from council members. I'm going to go into the subdivisions. I'm going to talk to the residents in there. I'm going to talk about the repairs with them. I'm going to take and encourage them to form committees, have a spokesperson, meet with me, and see if we can come up with plans to repair and ideas to help fund the repairs. With that, my last thing that I have to say is upon the adjournment of this meeting tonight, those with video and audio recording devices, without permission, you are no longer, will you be able to, you will not have the consent to record anyone on the village property. It's in violation of their constitutional rights. You wouldn't want it in your workplace, you wouldn't want it in your home. I've had complaints. It's a public building, you know, it's true.
Ha ha.
I've looked into that, and as long as I state it, you are not allowed to tape video or audio anyone without their permission.
No, you can't.
Prove it.
Do what you want to do. I have nothing else
Are you going to
say.
arrest us?
I think a motion will adjourn.